Today's story is about an event that happened to a child star that you know. You might not even know that you know her, but this is her voice.
My stomach is talking. You should not eat talking trees. No, no, no.
That's Judith Barsi, a child whose real life was so juxtaposed with the sweetness and light that her characters portrayed it's hard to even fathom. So, here we go. As a former children's talent agent, I can attest that the kids who are the most successful are the ones whose parents are often more passionate about the business than their talented child. Many child stars walk away from the extremely corrupt industry afterwards saying that they actually hated acting all along, but were kept in the industry to pay the bills. This was certainly partially true for successful child star Judith Barsi. She had the natural attributes and talents that meant she was born to act, but as with many, the pressure on such a young girl was intense and unfair. What may have lain ahead for Judith's life and career, we will never know because both were cut short in a heartbreaking way. Barsi was born in Los Angeles, California in 1978. The daughter of immigrants Joseph and Maria Barsi. They had met at a restaurant in California where Maria worked as a server. Neither were spring chickens at the time of the incident we'll talk about, 55 and 48 respectively. I'm not sure why I feel that's notable, I just feel like it is. Both had been previously married but felt a connection to one another due to their shared backgrounds wherein they had fled from the Hungarian People's Republic following the uprising. Joseph had a temper which could be set off at any time, especially when he'd had too much to drink. If he suspected somebody was snickering at him over his accent, he would go off, said one colleague. He'd grab a 2x4, he recalled, not that he'd go up to anybody who didn't deserve it. Barsi apparently liked to puff himself up in front of his friends. He bragged that he'd lost vision in one eye in a fight and also confided that he had served time in New York for killing a man in a brawl. There is no record of him ever having been arrested on such a crime. His only criminal record consisted of being arrested 3 times for drunk driving. Judith was discovered in a cool, organic way that many adults can only dream about. She was ice skating at a rink in the San Fernando Valley. She had charisma flowing out of her, and a talent agent noticed her because of how adorable she was. Much to the agent's delight, despite looking like a 3-year-old because of how tiny she was, Judith was in fact 5. This is like gold dust when it comes to child actors. It's a really common request on casting notes for 2 reasons. Firstly, older kids are easier to direct than little ones. They're easier to control and deal with, and secondly, the older the child, the longer they can get on sets acting legally. The amount of working hours decrease the younger you get. Interestingly, that's also why the industry frequently hires twin kids to play one role. Her first ever gig was to star alongside Donald Duck in a Donald Duck orange juice commercial, which jump-started her career. She went on to work in over 70 commercials over the next 5 years, which is frankly insane. In Ireland, if you're running in an existing commercial, another company won't want to use you at all till that run ends. I have to assume Judith was made to travel around America and Canada a lot shooting and auditioning, which is exhausting for anyone, let alone a little kid, but her mom had the bug and her daddy was seeing dollar signs. In fact, he was seeing bigger bucks than he ever pulled in as a plumber. Judith was reportedly turning around $100,000 a year at the height of things, and her father was becoming jealous and possessive. Judith began booking big TV shows like Cheers and The Twilight Zone. Soon she was booking big-name movies too. There was Jaws, Eye of the Tiger, and Slam Dunk. As Judith navigated her way through Hollywood sets, she had her mother Maria with her, guiding every step of the way. And while Maria had clearly grown into her role as a stage mom, she tried her best to make sure that Judith still had somewhat of a regular childhood. She didn't pull her out of school, she continued studying and would only take the days off she needed to be on set. She made her lunch every day, they rode bikes, played games, and had a very close bond. Meanwhile, Joseph's anger and jealousy was growing. He disliked being outshone by his own child. He felt emasculated that she was earning the highest wage in the family, and around 1985, things started getting progressively worse at home. Joseph began working less and drinking more. He really wasn't part of Judith's career. The crew only wanted to work directly with Maria and Judith, and Joseph refused their invitations to sets, but he wanted to be able to control something. So he started mentally and physically abusing both Judith and Maria anytime they were at home. There were several reported instances where he did horrible things whenever he thought Maria was thinking of leaving him to run away with Judith. He refused to allow her to leave him alone and without the income he'd gotten used to. Later, an acquaintance said that he had tried to quit alcohol, but Maria refused to forgive him. He then reportedly began an affair with another woman who he showered with expensive gifts, including a necklace and a ring. Little Judith was caught in the middle. Joseph would 1 minute shower affection on his treasure, his little girl, and in the next breath he would verbally abuse her and play with her psyche. A relative told the story of when 7-year-old Judith prepared to leave Los Angeles for the Bahamas to film Jaws the Revenge. Her father pulled a knife to her throat and bade her and her mother goodbye, warning, "If you decide not to come back, I will find you and cut both of your throats." One of the Barsi's neighbours said that he remembers Joseph saying over 500 times that he'd kill his wife Maria. The neighbour claimed that when this happened, he would try to de-escalate the situation by asking him what would happen to Judith if he did that, to which Joseph simply replied, "I'd kill her too." Eventually, people in their lives started calling Child Protective Services. It's not like Joseph was discreet. He bragged to one colleague that he threw pots and pans at his little star, making her bleed, and CPS eventually showed up. Joseph claimed the child needed to be put in her place as she was spoilt, in explanation for a smashed up kite, a once beloved toy. They offered to help Maria, but she never pressed charges against him. Even the Christmas she called the police on him herself. The final time they showed up, Maria insisted she had a plan in place to divorce Joseph and begged them not to take her daughter. They believed her, but little did she know, it was already too late. Judith's demeanour was changing too. Even her agent noticed. She was no longer the happy-go-lucky kid that had been spotted at the ice rink. She was quiet and withdrawn, and she looked stressed. Additionally, she had been put on hormonal injections due to her small size, and she had gained some weight. She reportedly even pulled out her eyebrows and eyelashes along with the whiskers of her own cat. This incident saw her sent to a child psychologist who immediately intervened and once again contacted CPS. The abuse from home was getting too much for a little girl to handle. She told family friends, "I'm afraid to go home. My daddy is miserable, my daddy is drunk every day, and I know he wants to kill my mother." Maria's plan was indeed in motion. She had rented a secret apartment and would spend the mornings and afternoons there with Judith. At night, they would come back to the family home as late as possible, blaming work and school. She was sneaking bits of their belongings out gradually and thought that eventually she'd be able to move out permanently, but that plan never came to fruition. Maria hesitated out of fear of losing the belongings that she and Judith had worked hard for. On July 25, 1988, Judith was scheduled for an audition with Hanna-Barbera to be one of the voices in a cartoon. Young Judith wanted to transition to being a voice actor as she grew up, but that plan was cut short when, in the morning, before she even woke up, Joseph went into her room and shot her point blank in the head. This was one of the very few times Maria wasn't with Judith when Joseph was around. Maria heard the gunshot and went running toward Judith's room. As she got to the hallway, Joseph shot her in the head too, killing her instantly. Joseph then spent 2 days in the house with the bodies of his family. He made dinner, watched TV, and even went to bed. Then, on July 27th, Joseph poured gasoline everywhere and lit the house on fire. Then he went into the garage and shot himself too. The entire Barsi family perished that day. What exactly set Joseph off, we can only speculate. After her death, several movies were released, including Judith as the voice of Ducky in The Land Before Time. She had said it was her favourite role ever, but the movie came out a few months after she had passed away. Her sweet little voice also appeared in All Dogs Go to Heaven, which brought notable recognition to her talent, but all too late. The song Love Survives, used in the end credits of All Dogs Go to Heaven, was dedicated to her as a final gift and farewell from the film's cast and crew. Her plot marker notably reads, "In memory of the lovely Judith Eva Barsi, 1978 to 1988. Our concrete angel, yep, yep, yep."
Mine is Tucky. Yep, that is what it is. Yep, yep, yep. Dee 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 doo. Doo doo da 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 doo. Da da dee doo doo. Da 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 dee doo doo. Dee 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 da da dee dee doo 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 da.
Until we speak again, sending you good vibes. Stay safe out there.